All right. All right, let's kick this off. So, first of all, thank you all for coming. Pretty sure you guys came for a pretty good reason, is because you guys are spending way too much time doing unnecessary things, networking specifically, and I'm going to teach you guys how to do it better. So, on the agenda today, I'm going to first talk about traditional versus automated networking, what the difference is, and what the costs and benefits are. And then I'm going to teach you guys what to automate and an overview of the available automation solutions that's currently on the market. And then I'm going to give you guys a high level walkthrough of my own automated networking process. And I understand some of the people on this call are a little bit more technical. And if you feel like you're not getting the craving you desire, I'll go into a little bit more of the technical syntaxes of how you can how you can take this to the next level. But I won't be going into as much detail as I would be for the former half of the presentation. And then I'm going to have a list of resources and Q&A. And so what's not covered in this presentation is, given the limited time that we have today and that all my licenses have expired, I'm actually not going to teach you step by step on how to automate, right? That would take like a lot more hours. And so like how to use solutions, configure APIs, and setting up your networking environment, right? That stuff you can honestly do just on your own time. And I'll provide you how to do that in the resources section. And so sort of as a disclaimer, right? Like this by no means is like the best practices. Like I've seen way smarter like things being done by like way smarter people. And I do want to caution that this method should be used for cold outreach only, because cold networking is not an emotional game, it's a numbers game, right? So if you're going to network with friends, family, or like even your previous clients, definitely do it the traditional way and add that human element to it. And then another one is that the Airtable that you see that I'm sharing with you guys is actually not my full-blown Airtable. I actually stripped it down to make the content more digestible for the audience on this call, so you guys can focus more on what I'm doing instead of getting lost in all the data that's like in my actual Airtable. And this is also not a CMG organized event, nor am I like a certified or trained peer advisor. I'm purely doing this for the love of the Haas community, and that a lot of people just have requested this, that I do something like this. And as a former groundkeeping rule, please do not screenshot this presentation, because this does contain like personal information from real people. I have talked to CMG and I'm going to be sending the recording to CMG afterwards. They'll be cleaning it, and then they will be sending out this and the deck to everyone on the call. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So first, before I even dive into what I'm going to do, I need everyone to have this mindset, right? And so this is also the general rule I follow in life: is the only way to truly become your best self is to look at your life as one big project that can be broken down into a series of tasks. And there are two types of tasks. There's tasks that you want to do, and there's tasks that you have to do. And so for most of us on this call, right, it's like we all want to score our dream job, but we have to network. And the great thing about tasks are they have the same properties, which means that they can all be improved by one of the following ways: eliminate, automate, outsource, or transform. Well, clearly we can't eliminate the networking process, right? That would be useless. Nobody got time or money to outsource this. We're already 200K in the hole. Transformation, by definition, means to adopt the best in breed in class technologies, which I stated earlier that I'm not doing. This is just a more of a scrappy piecemeal solution. So today I'm just going to be focusing on the automation portion of networking. So within this networking process, how I treat networking is very similar to how I treat sales, right? But instead of you having actual customers, your customers are in your connections, and they should be treated the same way. And we know that if you work at any company in corporate America, or any job in general, right? Any strong sales or networking process needs to be supported by a strong CRM engine. Hence why Salesforce is so strong these days. So within the sales phase, right? Anyone that's done sales will see a sales cycle similar to something like this, right? You're going to have your lead generation, you're going to have your lead enrichment, which is basically once you identify who you want to talk to, it's like all the information you're going to go into nurturing your leads, then finally converting your leads, and then you're going to deploy customer success. And what this looks like in traditional networking or manual networking, the way that everyone is doing it today is, okay, you're going to go into LinkedIn, you're going to do a Boolean search, right? Basically, you say, okay, I want a hot seat that works at product management at Facebook. All right, who pops up? You're gonna manually scan your profiles, be like, okay, I see similar interest in here. Maybe this guy was previously in consulting or previously software engineer. I connect with this guy. Let me reach out to him. But before I do that, I'm gonna open up my spreadsheet and I'm gonna put that information in so I know so I can track it against it manually. And then I'm gonna shoot him a message and I'm gonna go through this series of, just back and forth report. Be like, hey, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, hey, I'm good. Let's blah. You're gonna keep going until the person feels warm enough to you, where it's like, yeah, let's, here's my email, set up a call, whatever. And then once you have the email, you're gonna do this same thing again. You'll be like, hey, when are you available? Oh, I'm not available this time. You're gonna keep going back and forth until you find something available. And then you're gonna go, okay, I'm gonna schedule a meeting with you. And this is probably gonna be either in the next 2 days or the next 2 weeks. And you pray that the person you're gonna talk to does not get too busy the night before and then cancel on you the day of. And praying that that doesn't happen. Okay, you have a great networking call, and then you have follow-ups. You're gonna be like, okay, when's the last person I talked to? Okay, the job applications come out. I need a referral. Blah blah blah. It's just gonna be spreadsheets. And with all 20 companies, and you talk to 4 people per company and stuff, this is gonna be a major overhaul to tackle. And even if you know how to do Excel without a mouse, you are very efficient. You have triple screens and everything. Going through this entire process is gonna take you at least 30 minutes. Now, what does this look like if I were to automate it? So same thing, I will go into a LinkedIn Boolean search, see who I want, but instead of scanning it, I'm gonna use Linked Helper to scrape the profiles automatically. Once the profiles are scraped, it goes into a CSV file, which is the only manual step. I still have to download it, right? But now this time, instead of having it in Excel, I'm gonna upload it into Airtable. And Airtable is basically Excel on steroids. And it's so powerful that you can build automations and you can build apps within the platform. And you can also do things where you can make your spreadsheets in a way where it acts like an actual CRM, like a Salesforce. And once this gets automated, you would say, okay, this person works at this company and this person has this name. And ultimately, there is a company called Hunter.io where if you get the company domain, it'll spit out the format of the email. But now you don't want to just keep entering data manually. So you're gonna need a middle person in the middle, and this is called Blockspring. And what Blockspring is, you can think about if you're in a situation where, look, I like all the functionality of this one product, but I also like all the functionalities and data layer of this other product. I wish there was some way these 2 products can become one. Well, that's what Blockspring does. Blockspring basically calls a block a feature of a different product, and it puts these things together and it acts as if it's one standalone product. And so Blockspring will take all your data that's uploaded from Airtable, shove it into Hunter.io. Hunter.io is going to give you with 80% confidence what the best estimated email for this person is at this company, and then it's going to shove it back into Airtable. So now you enrich all your leads, you know who you want to talk to, you know what their emails are, and now all you have to do is send the emails. But this is, again, automated because now we're going to use Zapier. So traditionally, how first I'm going to define what an API is, right? An API is basically a method of people talking to each other. So for example, I'm in my room, you're in your room, right? I'm talking to you through Zoom. You can think of Zapier as the middleman, Zoom, because before, how it works is that if you wanted one platform to talk to another platform, you had to hire software engineers and to build that API integration between the 2. Well, a bunch of software engineers were like, why are companies spending all this money to build custom integrations for their platform when we can just spend our time building these integrations between popular platforms and then just sell them? And that's how Zapier came to be. And so Airtable is very popular. Gmail, Calendly, Google Calendar, all very popular apps. And so therefore, they already have pre-built APIs that you can just link. And so I link my Airtable to my Gmail, to my Calendly, to my calendar. And this is all automatic, which means that through Zapier and Airtable, I can generate an email that takes in the name, the company, the role, and generates a very personal email. And it will automatically send this email to the other person through Gmail. And within my Gmail outreach email, I have my personal Calendly link. And Calendly is integrated with your calendar or Google Calendar in real time, which means that if you have a meeting here, the other person scheduling with you cannot schedule an overlap meeting on top of it, which is really nice. And I'll show you how this looks later. And I can, and with more calendars, I can actually put my own personal Zoom link in that email invite. So when the meeting gets scheduled, a Zoom is automatically generated and on my calendar. And so the next morning, instead of just going back and forth, is none of that. I'm not writing cold outreach. I'm not going back and forth. My scheduling is automated. And all I have to do is wake up the next day and be like, who am I talking to? I see it, and now I'm like, okay, how about a networking call? You can have all your notes and everything, and you can put it back into Airtable and the follow up to the point where you can even generate automated messages. For example, I'm just gonna stop talking for 1 second because there seems to be a hospital truck behind me. But okay. And what's really nice about follow-ups is, like, for example, someone's birthday, right? You don't have to remember it. You can literally make a trigger in Airtable being like, if today's date equals the date in the birthday column, send out an automated email saying happy birthday or a Slack message or what have you. And I'm not looking at anything. This is all automated and I don't have to think about it. And this entire process takes less than a minute. And that's the beauty of network automation. So now let's look at a high-level walkthrough. What does this actually look like in real life? So I'm going to exit here, and then okay. So first, what we need to do is that, so this is my Airtable networking environment. As you can see, within the companies, these are all the target companies that I have. And what's nice about Airtable is that you can basically embed a spreadsheet within a spreadsheet. Airtable calls these tables. So for example, if I look at the current employees that works at Adobe I'm talking to, I click all these names, everyone's John Doe. John Doe, this person's a second-year Hasi, right, with all these tags. How did I meet this person? He works at Adobe. Last time we caught up was August 28th. He lives in Berkeley, California right now. He previously worked at Allbirds. And for the sake, everyone in this presentation worked at Allbirds. This is his email that was generated. And then this is, like, he's a product manager. And this is all the things. And what this is basically information I'm pulling from my people's table. So all this information is embedded in this one cell. And you can open it and read it in a very nice. And I'm like, okay, what if I don't, this is like too much, right? What if I want a different view? Well, I can do it by alphabetical, and I can even do it by priority. So how I prioritize my companies, that I have my target companies I really want to go to. I have my safety companies, and then I have my spray and pray companies. So for target companies, my general rule is I want to make sure that for every single position I'm applying to, I have an internal referral. So all my focus is going to be here. My safety companies, I'm going to, if I have a referral, I'll do it. But if not, I'm not going to stress over it. Spray and pray is literally just put your resume to all these and just pray for the best. And this really helps you allocate the effort that you're going to put into networking. Now we're going to move into the people's column. And now we're going to move into the people's column. In the people's column, and this is all customizable, right? You can have your name, your tags, right? The last time we caught up, where they live, the current company, former companies, everything, the notes, service areas, and then what position that these people actually referred me to. And then there's a first name column, and I'll show you why this is useful later on. And this doesn't even have to be alphabetical either. I can do it by tag. Like, I can set up these different views. I can do it by tag, who works at what company. If I'm just interested in certain locations, I can do it by, okay, current city, Berkeley, Chicago, Los Angeles, Palo Alto. I can do it like that. And then I can also be like, okay, catch-up calendar, which means that who do I need to catch up with in order to keep these leads warm, right? I need to catch up with this person here, a bunch of people, these, and then all the way down, right? And this is automatically calculated. Basically, my rule is for catching up is, see, I'm going to show you guys what I do. So the overdue column, right? And you can literally write like an Excel expression. Basically, I'm saying if today, the date today is more than 45 days from the last time I talked to this person, then I'm saying it's overdue. And once this thing is overdue, it's basically going to tell me when I need to catch up with that person within that 45-day mark. Okay. So That's the people's column. And then there's a cities column, which basically breaks up by people, all the people that I know live by city. And then these are the positions column. This will tell you, okay, what is the position? What is, the company that's doing it? What is the job ID? So if I need a referral, this job ID can get sent to that person. Is an interview? Did I get an interview? Did I apply? Did I not apply? When is the deadline? Where is it? Was the source from LinkedIn, CMG, blah, blah, blah. Who is my referral? What are these sort of the notes? And then the attachments, right? And this is what I love about Airtable. It's like, so this is Apple, and this is like what? Okay, Apple. All right, this is Apple product manager for Apple News. And since this is one of my target companies, I'm going to write a detailed cover letter and a personal resume, and this can get embedded right into it. Right? I'm clicking on it, and then you can see, boom, it pops up. I say, look, I understand tech. I used to be editor-in-chief of my high school newspaper. I understand journalism. I understand tech. I understand media. Please hire me. Sign it off. Make it look professional. Boom. So now I don't have to go back into Word, into documents, and go scramble and be like, okay, what material did I actually use to apply for this position? Because it's all being tracked in Airtable. Now, another thing that we can do is that now we understand the layout of Airtable, we can look at how we can build some things like automation. And this is assuming your Zapier integration is already built. So let's say we're going to add a new automation. Okay, we're just going to call this automation 2. You choose a trigger. And so a trigger is you execute a series of tasks if an event within Airtable happens. So for example, when record metrics are conditioned, like if a new record is created, do something. If something on my Google Calendar gets created, do something, right? If I send out a Google survey and the survey response comes back in here, do something, right? There are so many things that you can do. And usually we can say, okay, when a record gets updated, okay? When you say when a record gets updated, you can be like, okay, I'm going to say it's going to be from people. And then from this view, I'm going to say, okay, it doesn't really matter what this view is. Let's just put this as, networking automation view. And then you're select the fields. And I'm going to say, okay, when primary field is updated, and the next is you're going to add an action, right? And these actions, like, what are you going to do? You can send an email, you can create another record, you can send them a Slack message, right? So I can say, okay, when this thing is updated, send out a networking email. If it's someone's birthday, send out a Slack message. Go on Teams, do this, schedule a meeting, send out even more surveys. And if I'm a developer, I can create an issue in Jira. I can do something on Twitter. I can make a Facebook post. I can do Twitter. You can do so much automation with Airtable once you integrate everything in the app. And lucky for you guys, the newest update of Airtable already has native integrations built in with all of these tools. You don't have to use Zapier like I did back when I was doing this. So I'm not going to cover Zapier that much, but I will be talking about it in case you guys do want to build integrations between, let's say, like Clearbit API and Airtable, right? Because there's no Zap for that today. So next, we're going to go into apps. And let's say that, okay, now create this automation. I want to send emails, right? Let's go to the people's column. And when you're going to apps, I'm going to go into networking automation. All right, so this thing's kind of loading because like Zoom just takes up so much of my processing power. But okay, so essentially what apps do is that it sort of works like Python, right? And Python what's great is that you can call scripts of code from a library. Similarly, developers have built apps on Airtable that are already ready for you to use. And one of them is sending emails. They create an email called SendGrid, right? So I'm saying, okay, this email template that I want Airtable to generate pulls from the people table. It goes into this view. It's going to be sent to the primary email, right? In the primary email column, right? John Doe at this email. I can choose a CC. I have a chat. And then I'm going to say, okay, hi, first name, right? It pulls from the first name column, which is why I had that. And it was very important that I did. Okay, this is actually hidden. I'm going to go back to bytes. Let's just do alphabetical. Okay, John, right, is going to pull from the first names column and say, hey, all is well, I'm Steph. This is who I am. I'm reaching out because I saw you on the Haas network that you worked for. All right, insert service area, right? Take this data at your current company, right? Take the company data. And then, I'm really interested in working somewhere similar. Can we please have a chat? And here's my Calendly link. And this is the preview. And now, now this is the preview. It's going to say, hey, John, hope all is well. I'm a first-time MBA at Haas, blah, blah. I say you're a software engineer at Google. Da, 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 da. Do you have 15 minutes to chat? Right? Now the next person is going to get a different email. It's going to say, hey, I see that you're instead of a software engineer, you're a product manager at Google. Do you want to chat? See, I can keep going, and it's just going to generate these automated emails. It's going to be automated send, and I'm not typing or even copying, pasting, and pressing send and going back and forth. All this is done instantly while I'm not even in front of the computer. And you can even do a manual send. Okay, so it's actually really cool on how you can do this. And so now we understand the basics of Airtable. Now I'm going to walk you guys through how we're going to do a LinkedIn Boolean search and walk you guys through the entire end-to-end life cycle. So first, come on, load. So when we do a LinkedIn Boolean search, let's just say, okay, I want to work for in the San Francisco Bay Area. It could be any tech company, right? But in the industry, right? Let's say that I want them to be clearly English. I want these guys to be like Berkeley alums or Haas alums, right? Current company, current industry. Let's say just like computer software or whatnot. Or we can even just do like services, do like product management. I just showed up. I think I spelled something wrong. Okay, whatever. Let's just for a sake, let's just say, all right, we're gonna do product marketing. We're gonna do apply. Now you see a list of all these Berkeley alums that are currently working in some kind of product marketing role or something of that company sorts. And now you have this, we're gonna open up LinkedIn Helper. Now this is our LinkedIn scraper, and within LinkedIn scraper, you can learn this on your own. We're going to basically use what is called a profiles extractor. A profiles extractor, now I can't really show you guys how this looks in real time because my license has expired. It's not going to let me scrape anymore. But what this happens is that once you click collect, it's going to like look at, okay, it's going to take all of this and then it's going to go into the profile and then it's going to extract the individual information from each of their profiles and put it into CSV. All right, so that's like actually really, really helpful and really cool. So now, oh, it is working. Yeah, this is just basically like it just scraping itself. But I'm going to pause this for now. Okay, I don't know why it's not pausing. Oh, it's still collecting. But anyways, instead of doing collect, we're going to go into extract. So once it collects all of it, we're going to need to extract it out of LinkedIn. And so I want you guys to take notes of this when you're using the extractor. So for the extraction period, it has to be 150. Extraction period needs to be 24 hours. And what this means is that it's telling the scraper that within a 24-hour time frame, you should not be extracting more than 150 leads. Because if you do any more, LinkedIn's bot will pick up on it, and then it'll think you're some kind of like fake account or scripter, and your LinkedIn account's going to get banned. So these are the optimal numbers. And then you also want to have timeout settings. Minimum 30 seconds, maximum 150 seconds, which means that between profile extraction, I want to wait at least 30 seconds before I extract the next profile. And if you do it any faster, LinkedIn will think you're a computer, you have a fake account, is going to ban you again. So these are very, very important when you're extracting. Okay, but once you're done extracting, what you should get is something like this. It extracts saying, look, this is their ID, this is their full name, profile, first name, last name, title, avatar, their address, their summary, their websites, where they worked, where they went to school, blah, blah, blah. It's going to have all of this. Now, if you don't know how to use like SQL, Alteryx, R, or like Python, cleaning this up may take some more manual effort. But if you do know how to use any of those, cleaning this up is very easy. You clean it up, make sure it's Airtable ready, and then just upload that CSV into Airtable. And then yeah, you're going to get a bunch of leads. And now once you have that lead, we're going to go into Blockspring. But before we even go into Blockspring, we're just going to I'm going to first show you what 100.io is, right? So let's say I want to work at Facebook. And so Facebook's name is like fb.com. That's basically their email name. I'm going to do find addresses. And it's going to say, okay, the most common pattern for that is first, last, facebook.com. But the thing is that I don't want to go in there and say, okay, what's your first name, what's your last name, and then automatically generate this, right? Which is why I'm going to use Blockspring. What Blockspring does right now is that Airtable is going to send them data saying, look, the domain name is apple.com, GitHub, Nintendo, blah, 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 blah. This is the name. And then what this thing is going to do is that it's going to go into Hunter and populate that email column for you within Airtable. And it's going to feed it back into Airtable. And it's just going to be so freaking easy for you because and all this is automatic. Like I'm not in front of my computer when this thing is happening because once I upload that Airtable in CSV, my triggers automatically enrich these leads for it. And then it goes back into Airtable, and then you just have all your primary emails. Great, so easy, right? But now if you remember, we already built an automation where in automation 2, we say that when the primary email column is updated, you're going to send an email to that person using this template or the template that I just showed you. It's like taking time loading, but you guys get the point. An automated email is already sending. And now what this template actually looks like is blah, blah, blah. Okay, so if I'm a person and I'm receiving this, right? And I'll first talk about why this is so much better. Because think about it this way. You're in the middle of a pandemic. You're getting yelled at by your boss for not getting this feature out on time. Your newborn baby is crying in front of you and your dog wants your attention. And some random person who reaches out to you and is asking for an undefined amount of your time. If this were you, would you actually go respond? Probably not. But what if this person just said, hey, look, I only want 15 minutes of your time. That's all I'm going to ask for. And I'm not even going to go back and forth with you on scheduling. Here's a link. You pick the time most convenient for you. That's going to take 30 seconds on their part. And it's going to be, and that increases the likelihood of them responding and giving you 15 minutes of their time. And so what this looks like is when they click the Calendly link, I'm going to go into Calendly. I'm going to show you guys what this actually looks like. They're going to see something like this. Done. Just going to take this and load. They're going to be like, okay, look, learning about experience. Let's pick a date time. Let's say I want to talk to, this guy on Friday. When is he open? See, 10 a.m., 10:30, 12:30, right? I had a block here. So you see, it's not going to let that person schedule over my existing meetings. So when they say, okay, yeah, I'm free at 3, I'm going to pick 3. And they're going to pick the 3 and they're going to send it out, right? And then here's what's going to happen on my end. Because what goes on here within your Calendly link is that I'm saying, okay, who can book this event, blah, blah, blah. But when you're actually in here, it has my own personal Zoom link. I'm embedding my own personal Zoom link that's integrated with my calendar. So that goes automatically on my calendar. So when I'm going to be like, okay, let's say they schedule a meeting with me and they schedule it for Friday. Okay, so I'm Friday. Okay, I wake up Friday. I usually wake up at 6 a.m. The first thing I do is check my email to see if anyone from the East Coast schedules some meeting at like 6 a.m. or something like that. So, but look, this guy, Sanjeev, scheduled a meeting with me. Great. Calendly basically tells you what this title is basically, you and I, we're going to talk. Here's the automated Zoom link, and all this information is right there. And they can even write a message. Be like, hey, here's a blah, blah, blah. Like, he clearly wrote something and then done. And if you want to make changes or they want to make changes, they can do it right in the Calendly. They don't have to email me and saying, yo, I can't make this meeting, right? So this thing is just super easy and super automated and low touch for both parties at both ends. And you're going to go into your networking and you're going to come back and then you're going to follow up, right, on sort of that thing you're going to do. And then that's going to go back into your Airtable, right? You can upload it in the notes, what we talked about and stuff like that. And if you feel comfortable, right, you can later reach out to them for a referral, in which case you can update this column on what job that they referred you to it for. So that was basically how I automated that networking process. I know I've said a lot, but just bear with me. I do want to leave Q&A for the end. But now, let's say you say, okay, Steph, this is all pretty novice for someone who actually knows software development or at least understands some level of code. How do I actually take this to a next level? Well, here are a few suggestions that I think that we can actually do. And number one, mainly, is that we're going to look at what's called mailparser.io. And mailparser.io is an email scraper essentially, and it allows you to take important information from an email that has a consistent format, and then it allows you to like download it into a CSV sort of thing. And so I'm going to blow by through this really quickly just to show you what it can do, but I'm not actually going to show you the partial steps that you're going to do, right? So let's say you have a Gmail and then you have something like Indeed, right? So I created this like a while back, but Indeed has job alerts, right? Saying, look, assistant mechanical engineer at Northrop Grumman, right? This is the date that you need to apply by, and this is all the description. And these are the important things that I want. And similarly, you can set up these alerts within CMG and do the same thing. But for the purpose of this, I'm going to do it on Indeed. You're going to go into mailparser.io. You're going to set up your parsing rules, right? Convert the email body into HTML, and you're going to start like doing some text cleansing stuff. So you're going to use some like regex, or regular expressions to format some of the data. So you're going to keep going down until you reach, okay, now I know the thing. I know exactly, the Motorola Solutions, where it is, and I'm going to keep parsing. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep parsing until, okay, look, I just extracted the date from this, but I don't want it in this format. I want to change the format from my reg expression, and that's going to give me this date. Right, and I'm going to keep doing this, and then it's going to give me everything. And now, then once at the company, I have to roll out everything. I'm going to upload this right back in the Airtable, right? And then now, whenever CMG sends me saying, "Hey, look, this company just posted a new product management role," I could use mailparser.io, and then I can, instead of just like saying, "Okay, I'm going to go into this company, I'm going to click here, I'm going to type manually into my Excel spreadsheet what this role entails," I use mailparser, and it automatically populates this tab, and then I can track against it, because now I know, okay, if this thing is from this company and it shows up in Target, do I need a referral? Okay, I do need a referral. Let me go see who I know that works at this company, and I talked to this person. When did I talk to it? Do I owe a catch up? Do I need, like, what do we even talk about here? Blah, blah, blah. And once you have that context, send the email for a referral. And usually, like, it always works. It's just like, it's a bulletproof concept that we're looking at right now. And so, yeah, if you do have some kind of like advanced knowledge of how coding syntax works, definitely look into mailparser.io to make this thing a little bit more automated for yourself. But for most people on this call, this is just really unnecessary, because the amount of time it takes to learn this is not worth it just to do this. And so, yeah, we talked about this, and now these are the resources, right? So again, these are the purposes, like custom CRM, lead generation, blah, blah, blah. These are all the apps that you're going to use. And then these are all the links that you guys can use to download this application. And then all of these have their own training videos, either on the website or on YouTube. I taught this, this was self-taught by me. Yeah, so I taught myself this basically. And then based on my learnings, these are basically estimated how long it took me. So for Airtable, it took me like 8 hours. LinkedIn's Helper took like 2 hours, blah, blah, blah. 100.io is already integrated with BlockSpring. So if you know BlockSpring, you know 100.io, so no time. And then this is the time it takes to build, right? So once I understood how Airtable worked, it only took me 4 hours to build the CRM that you saw, like unpopulated. But the populating of this thing is done automatically, so you don't really have to worry about it. And in total, you do need to invest 16 hours into learning and 9 hours into building, okay? But if you think about it, that's 25 hours total. And then the rest of it, you don't really have any other like downtime, right? And then, you're out hiking, hanging with friends, traveling, playing basketball, whatever, while this entire ecosystem is just networking for you. And if you just think about it, like how many times have you spent networking already? I'm pretty sure it's 50 to 100 hours up until this date. If you guys actually start in August, right? And for me, I didn't spend any more than 25. And now if you want to do job scraping for mailparser.io, learning it, even if you do know how to do some kind of syntax, it'll take 10 hours. And then actually building it is going to take 4 hours. So this is pretty gruesome. And honestly, I do not think this was worth it, but it is scalable. Like if you do want to do this like day in and day out, it is pretty scalable. So definitely there. So that is basically, my 101 on networking automation and how to do it. I would love to open up the room for like the last 20 minutes of this session just for Q&A. All right, no one has any questions?
I'm happy to jump in with a question. Appreciate your time. It's been interesting learning about all these different tools. With Airtable, when you email someone through the trigger or the application, does it auto generate? Does it auto update the last contacted field that you have, so you know or do you have to manually do that? Because
No, you can. You can build a trigger to automatically contact. So you can say, yeah, upon me sending an email, right, update the field to today's date.
Yeah, because I found in the past I've obviously had spreadsheets doing this, and like it just became quite unmanageable to constantly remember to go back in and to do that. So cool, great, thank you.
Hey, Steph, is there any way that you could send us your format for Airtable so we don't have to go through the process of like structuring it ourselves?
Yeah, definitely. I can definitely like take a screenshots and add it to this deck of the format of the Airtable. And honestly, like if you learn in the 8 hours of Airtable training, they will teach you how to build like sprint planning, right, with Airtable, how to do CRM with Airtable, how to do all this with Airtable. So you'll get some idea of how to do it already. But yeah, if you want like the specific ones that I use to make it work, I can definitely send that out later.
Steph, there was a moment early on in your presentation where you mentioned something about this job pops up and I have like this cover letter. Was that cover letter at all tailored in an automated fashion to the job posting? Or was that like, here's my standard, let me just drop it in?
No, like I read the job description and I wrote the cover letter by hand. So like it was very, very tailored.
Mm-hmm.
But I do see a way where you can generate it. Like, for example, like if you just had a bunch of different templates for a bunch of different roles, and you can just say, okay, this is what the role entails, pull from this template, generate that. I don't think Airtable can generate documents yet, but I find it hard to believe there is no solution out there that can do that. And if there is a solution, you can definitely just build a solution and then use Zapier to integrate the two.
Yeah, maybe writing like a script with Python or something that just pulls like from like bullet points.
Yeah, definitely. If you know Python, like it's gonna help a lot.
Nice.
Hey, Steph.
Mm-hmm.
How much? I have two questions. One is, how much are you spending on each of the different pieces, or are they all free?
Oh, yes. That's a very good question. Sorry, and I haven't been reading the chat. So like if you guys have something in the chat, just feel free to bring it up now. So usually the subscriptions range anywhere between $10 to $30 a month, depending on how many leads you want to enrich or how much email you want to send. So Airtable is free. I think for students or something is all free. If I were to look at, if I can just remember correctly, Linked Helper is like a 14-day trial, and honestly, 14 days is all you need. Because remember, you should not be scraping more than you need to. You should only be able to need to scrape like a few times. So for example, let's say today you scrape all the things in product management within tech. And then tomorrow you scrape all things in product marketing management, right? If you scrape for 14 days straight, you're gonna have over 1,000 people, and then you don't need it anymore. Now Blockspring, they do it is tiered. It's gonna be based on the amount of leads that you enrich. So this one can actually go as much as like $30 to $50 a month. Zapier integration, man. So Zapier I actually don't know, because like the startup that I currently use has a Zapier enterprise license that I just take advantage of. So you have to look. Calendly is free if you have one link. So in Calendly, you have multiple different links for different purposes. But if you have one link, then it's free. You can turn on and off the link all the time. So if you just think about it, the only thing actually, oh yeah, and mail part of the aisle costs 30. So if you really want to go full blown, it's going to cost like 80 a month, and you only need it for like 1 month. But if you want to be scrappy, this entire thing could be free if you do it within the time frame of the trial periods.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, my second question was around timing. So you're only like using LinkedIn Helper, you're only scraping like once because you're pulling like 150 profiles. And then
Yes.
are you also continually using, okay, you said Hunter and Airtable were connected? Is that,
No,
or
so
Hunter and Blockspring are connected?
Hunter.io and Blockspring are connected.
Okay, cool. But so you're continuously using Blockspring, Airtable,
So you don't have to worry
and-
about Hunter.io right now. Blockspring has a native integration with Hunter.io. So like I said, right, you can treat Blockspring and Hunter as one app. So it's just between Blockspring and Airtable. And Blockspring already has a native integration with Airtable. So that's why you don't see a Zapier thing here, because it's already native and built.
Got it. Okay.
Hey, Steph,
Hey, Gary.
did you use the tutorials that are native to Airtable when you were learning
Yes.
it, or something
Yes.
else? Okay.
Everything I learned were trainings that were either published on YouTube or native to the website. Like most of the basic trainings that you needed were there, but like for things like mail parser, like that gets a little bit more complicated. So you do have to go on to like see what the other experts are doing in order to replicate it. But yeah, mostly like teaching yourself is super easy. Any other questions from anyone? All right, then. I'll give you everyone back 12 minutes of your time. Thank you all so much for coming. And yeah, if you guys do have any questions about networking or how to do this, or like if you guys are trying to learn and get stuck and have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm always happy to be a resource to the Haas community.
Thanks for doing this stuff. I really appreciated it.
Of course, I hope you guys all found this helpful.
Thanks, Steph.
Thank you, Steph.
Nice.